when you're acting with Denzel Washington, the power and strength and completeness of his imagination is hypnotizing. And it's an invitation to join him. And a great film is a collective imaginative experience.
Welcome to Rogan Recap Show, where we compress a long-form Joe Rogan Experience episode into about 15 minutes so you get the full down low real quick. Today, we're inside episode 2425 of the Joe Rogan Experience with actor, writer, and director Ethan Hawke. From child actor thrown into a $30 million movie with River Phoenix to a slow burn career that survived flops, fame, and critics, Ethan walks through what it actually costs to build a life in art and why he still chases those rare I disappeared moments on set. If you've ever wondered whether fame would fix your life, how actors convince you they are someone else, or why your kids' phones feel like tiny brain nukes, this recap gives you the signal without the 3-hour sit. By the end, you'll know if Ethan Hawke's deep dive on art, fear, and the cosmos is your next full episode rabbit hole, or if this 15-minute hit is all you need. At 12, Ethan stumbles into an acting class because his mom just needs a winter activity that doesn't cost money. A local theater director spots him, offers him a one-line role with a sword, and suddenly he's doing George Bernard Shaw in New Jersey, watching adults actually love their jobs. By 14, he's yanked out of suburban life into a $30 million sci-fi movie with River Phoenix, directed by the guy who just made Gremlins. He thinks he's a made man, until the film bombs so badly he hears people trashing it in the bathroom at the premiere, not realizing the two kids from the movie are right next to them. That quick, salty death of his dream sends him back to high school convinced his Hollywood adventure was a one-off fever dream. Like putting your hand in a flame and deciding, yeah, I'm not doing that again.
In 1984, it was a $30 million movie directed by the guy who just done Gremlins, right? Joe Dante. And I thought I was a made man. But the movie came out, and I remember River and I going to the bathroom at the premiere, and we'd grown a lot from the time we shot the movie to the time it came out, and nobody in the bathroom really recognized us, and they were all talking about what a turkey the movie was, how terrible it was. And I remember just looking in the eyes and like, it wasn't the narrative we thought. We'd bought into the dream that, we were going to be whatever teen icon we were thinking of at the time. And it died a quick and salty death, my dream, and I went back to high school.
4 years later, miserable in college, he gives himself a coin flip. Audition for Dead Poets Society. If he lands it, he chases acting. If not, he joins the Merchant Marines and goes full Jack London. He gets the role, drops out, and this time the movie explodes. But because of that earlier flop, he doesn't believe the hype and treats success like it might vanish any minute. Ethan and Joe both land on the same metaphor for child fame. It sets like bad concrete. If you get the mix wrong while you're still forming, too much attention, too little normal life, you can't add water after it cures. Something in your development is permanently off. Hawke calls celebrity a tiny drop of mercury, poison for your brain. He's grateful his first blockbuster tanked, and that Dead Poets Society gave him a little bit of juice, not too much. It meant he got fame in slow, tolerable doses instead of overnight Julia Roberts-level whiplash. He warns parents, let kids do school plays and choir, that's healthy. But professional fame at a young age? It quietly rewires you in ways that are almost impossible to see while it's happening and incredibly hard to fix later.
I think celebrity is it's like a tiny drop of mercury, or it's poison. It's poison for your brain. Now, if you're mature, you can handle it. And if you get it in slow, like I got it in slow increments. Dead Poets Society happened, I had a little taste of fame, but nobody knew my name.
You go to restaurants.
Yeah, I was that kid from Dead Poets Society. Oh, look at him. Yeah, blah, blah, blah.
After the early... Hi, Ethan basically gives himself his own college. He starts a tiny theater company, builds sets, reads obsessively, and works with insanely talented people who make no money and get no glamour. That's where he learns humility and how to love the work instead of the attention. Two anchors keep him grounded: a father who doesn't care about celebrity, only integrity and telling the truth, and mentors like director Peter Weir, Robin Williams, and later people like Chris Christopherson, who show him what it looks like to age well in a creative life. Hawke's North Star stops being be a teen idol and becomes be the kind of old actor whose life was interesting, whose craft got deeper, and whose kids still say, "I love my dad." When Joe asks what makes great acting feel like hypnosis, Ethan lights up. For him, the best film is a collective imaginative experience where everyone, actors, director, audience, disappears into the same dream. You're not thinking Denzel Washington or Ethan Hawke. You're with Alonzo or some desperate dad begging Kevin Bacon for his kid's life. Good acting, he says, is like a concert where you're inside the song, not analyzing it. Bad acting is glib, slightly outside the moment, commenting on it. The audience can feel when someone is self-conscious or posing, even if they can't say why.
Use the essential word in your first sentence, which is hypnosis. I mean, I've spent my life studying what you just talked about. And when you're acting with Denzel Washington, the power and strength and completeness of his imagination is hypnotizing. For anybody, when you go to a concert, every now and then it happens. The performer hypnotizes you, and you disappear.
Yeah.
You're inside those songs.
Hawke compares it to a great athlete's behind-the-back pass. It isn't a cool idea in the moment. It's years of practice surfacing as effortless instinct. Acting is the same. You drill lines, backstory, physical habits until your body believes it. Then, if everyone else is also in the dream, new, honest behavior starts happening that no one planned. He name-drops collaborators like Philip Seymour Hoffman, who would literally stop a rehearsal and say, "Something smells bad. Is it me? Is it you? Is it the prop?" until the scene stopped feeling fake. The entire job is protecting that dream from anything that breaks it. One of Ethan's biggest acting teachers wasn't human. It was the wolf he worked with on White Fang. The animal didn't know it was in a movie. If Ethan was thinking about the camera instead of the wolf would literally turn and look into the lens. If he was present, real, calm, the wolf relaxed and interacted. He spent 11 hours on a tiny island of land with that half-starving animal. No phone, no distractions, learning how hard it is and how magical it feels to give one living thing your full attention.
All right, this is one of the best days of filming in my life. No kidding. All right, which is that amazing animal trainer, Clint Rao was his name, and it was a scene where I'm getting the wolf to trust me, and it's going to eat out of my hand for the first time. And so Clint had this amazing idea. It's like, what if you can see even from that shot how far, that's a long lens, that thing. They put me on a little tiny island where like some two rivers fork. Mm-hmm. And so there's a little island of land right there. And so we see this wolf surrounded by water, right? And this is Flame. This isn't the animal that I knew really well. But the way to get it to look like this, we have to not know each other. And I spent all day out there with this wolf. And whenever the cameras started thinking I might have a chance of getting to pet him, they would start rolling. And I just talked to the wolf, and I'd walk around and play, and I just had to try to be real with him.
Fast forward to now, Ethan's on stage and on set with young actors who can't put their phones down. He and Joe both feel their own concentration getting shredded. Reading a book, they check their phones every few pages. He calls phones destroyers of collective imagination. His solution with his kids isn't a total ban. He worries that makes them social outcasts, but radical honesty. Sit down, compare screen time numbers, and ask, is this helping or hurting? Because whether you're doing a scene wolf or building a real life, your attention is the only real currency you've got. Time for the Rogan Scorecard, the totally scientific, definitely definitive meta-review of this episode. Cursometer. This one's got a healthy Rogan baseline. Call it regular F-bomb seasoning. Spicy enough to feel authentic, not so much you forget the point. Rabbit hole rating, 8 out of 10. Acting hypnosis, child stars as bad concrete, social media nuking kids' brains, monks, fighters, auroras, billionaires. This is a full buffet of tangents that somehow still hangs together. Guest Coherence score, 9 out of 10. Hawke loops from River Phoenix to Reddit hate to monasteries without losing the thread. It feels less like a ramble and more like one long thesis on how to build a sane inner life in a crazy outer world. You've just turned hours of life story, craft geekery, and philosophy into about 15 minutes. You got the big arcs, the spiciest metaphors, the acting nerdery, and the life advice, without needing to pause once to check your screen time. If this already shifted how you think about fame, fear, or even your phone, imagine what the full conversation feels like. If this Rogan recap helped you get the signal without the noise, tap like so more Rogan fans can find it. Hit subscribe for more compressed debriefs of the wildest, deepest, and most controversial corners of the Joe Rogan Experience. Drop a comment. Did Ethan's take on child fame, acting as hypnosis, or social media land with you? Or do you think he's overthinking the whole thing? If this episode hooked you on Ethan Hawke, there's a whole world behind this conversation. Start with the early films he talks about, the childhood sci-fi adventure explorers, the era-defining Dead Poet Society, and the wilderness story White Fang, where that wolf turned into his four-legged acting coach. Jump forward to intensity and improvisation in Training Day, where his partner cop role opposite Denzel became a career-defining turn, and more recently, the apocalyptic paranoia of Leave the World Behind, where Joe calls out that Kevin Bacon gun scene as a genuine oh shit moment. Off-camera, Hawke lives in the craft, building his own theater company, writing, co-creating documentaries on people like Paul Newman, Joanne Woodward, and Merle Haggard, and even co-writing a graphic novel with illustrator Greg Ruth. He's less movie star and more working artist who never stopped being a fan. Underneath all the Hollywood stories, this episode is about how to walk through a noisy world without losing the quiet voice inside you. Ethan keeps circling the same idea. Mentors, art, even failure are all there to help you become the kind of person who can handle success, not the other way around. He and Joe swap notes on fear, on critics, on kids drowning in social media, and keep landing on the same answer. You don't get to skip discomfort. Anxiety, nerves, bad reviews, they're all fuel if you don't let them run the engine. And when you're really lost, look up. To Ethan, the aurora over Alaska or a sky full of stars does the same job as a great role. It makes your ego disappear just long enough to remember you're part of something bigger. All right, your turn. Which corner of the Rogan universe should we compress next? Vote in the community poll to decide which Joe Rogan Experience episode we decode and distill next. Links to the full Ethan Hawke episode, his projects, and the next poll are all waiting in the description. This was the Rogan Recap Show for Joe Rogan Experience episode 2425 with Ethan Hawke, compressing the long form down low real quick.